But let me tell you, love and pain go hand in hand. Love and pain go hand in hand. Everything in life is a duality. Everything has its counterpart. Know the laws of the universe. Get to learn them and understand them. The laws of the universe are the rules to the game. What I always say is learn how to play the game and win it, right? Learn how to play it so you could win it. And so going, into this is learn the laws of the universe. And so everything has a duality. For all good, there's just as equal amount of bad. Now, again, remember, like we talked about originally, labels are what we have created, but what I may find as something bad, somebody else may find as good, right? And so it's all subjective, and everything is. The rules are made up. Okay, and they really truly are. And actually, I'm shouting out and sending to the universe a friend of mine that is writing a book on that. The rules are made up. Check it out when it comes out. But the point is that everything has a duality. With pleasure comes pain. No pain, no gain, right? All of these things that are always telling us and, they come about in a way because they're messages of patterns. I'm going to tell you, you're going to hear me say that a lot. Everything is a pattern. Everything is a pattern. Everything is a pattern. And so you're going to hear me say that a lot. So understand, right? We learn through those patterns. And so everything is a duality. In order to really live love, think about it. The reason why love is so intense and powerful and we yearn it anyways, right? And it's so scary. Love can be so scary. Is because in order to actually receive love and give love, you have to truly let go. You have to be vulnerable and trust, right? You have to be able to love something so much that you take care of it, but also be able to let it go if necessary. Because love thrives on freedom. It doesn't thrive on trying to possess it or own it. This is where the nuggets come in, guys. Yes. In order to really experience love truly, we have to truly give ourselves, right? We have to give ourselves to love, and we have to be willing to take a risk. All love is a risk. If we think about even just marriage, what is marriage? What is commitment? It's a decision. And it's a decision that has to be made every day. It's not just that one time. That's where we often get surprised. We're like, oh, you promised and you gave me your word. Yeah, but we change, right? Things change. We grow and we develop. And so the truth is that love is the choice. Love is the choice, the everyday, daily choice that we make. Waking up and choosing that person. And not always are we going to like them. Not always are we going to be happy with them. Not always are we going to agree. Not always are they going to be on the same page or, being capable of meeting you where you are. But love is a choice. Love is a choice. Like marriage, just being with someone, it is a choice that you have to make. But it comes with pain. It comes with vulnerability. Yes, it does. And that's why that choice matters so much. Who you decide to give your heart to matters so much. And so we want to check in ourselves and our patterns, right? If you have been someone that have often been in toxic relationships or relationships that don't work, you got to really look in. Why am I choosing these people? Why do I allow these things? Why am I attracting them? Why am I attracted to them? I guarantee you it has everything to do with our patterns. And as mentioned, those happen when we're young and what we learn of love, okay? What we learn of love, right? So for instance, for me, I lost my father when I was young, and he was my world. So he was everything to me. I was daddy's girl to 100, right? I was the youngest. I was the only girl he had. Loved me to death. So I lost him, right? So that created abandonment wounds. He didn't abandon me. He died, but I lost him, and that created that. Taught me something about love and me chasing it in a way, right? With people that don't really give it or, withhold it. And so it became like, this way of being attracted to that push and pull, right? Recognize my brother loves me to death. And I knew that he loved me to death also, right? And so that felt like love. That push and pull felt like love for me, from what I learned. I also learned that it can go away, that it goes away from my father, right? So the idea of love is scary. It's so scary. But again, what you're attracted to based on those early childhood experiences of what you learned from your parents on love, right? So you got to examine yours, right? Is it toxic relationships? Like with that dynamic that was created, like I say, in my pattern, it was me really always looking to be validated, right? And it wasn't those that wanted me, it was the ones that didn't want me that I was chasing, right? And so it was always this sort of chase and getting into relationships with people that, always made me sort of like wonder, right? Because that's what I knew love felt like, that sort of like anxiety. And so in order to break those patterns, we have to know them first, and we have to see how they show up all around, right? I want you to think about, what are some of your patterns? What are some of the people that you like, the situations that maybe you get into or repeat over and over again? And so I have a comment here. Girl, I learned I have a stamp on my forehead that says, since I was younger, I like the craziness. Yes. Aren't we so often attracted to craziness? I think both men and women can say this. Like, what is that about? Like, what is that about? And that's what we're talking about today. It is about something. And it is about the love. That's how generational blessings and curses get passed down. It's what we see, is what we learn. Honestly, right? And so when you are attracted to craziness quite often, is because the love that you learned when you were growing up was unstable. It was unstable, either push and pull, or, kind of like if that's where you grew up, like something was always going on, anything else may feel boring, right? Because what you learned is that like something is always going on. If you have those experiences with your early childhood caregivers, right? Parents and such. And so attracted to craziness, it's also a part of us that sees that in ourselves, right? Like we also within ourselves feel like we ourselves may be labeling ourselves that way, whether it's like I used to say a lot, and I've gotten over this so I can say it, to say I felt like damaged goods because some of the experiences that I had, I felt like, I was made to feel a little bit like too much, or, some of the things that happened to me that weren't supposed to happen. Like I was always like, too kind of like older for my age, and little like too grown up. And so even like sexually, not sexually, but like, like what we call fresh, right? Like fresh, like my dancing, my like the way I was. And so, all of that is, again, the stories we tell ourselves, because then I'm going to look for partners that I feel are flawed as well. Okay, because if I don't feel whole, I'm going to look for partners that I feel are flawed. That's what's going to attract me. That part of myself, me wanting to heal that part of myself, is what's attracting me to others that also have that, because I want to undo it. This is how the psychology works. Whatever we experience and whatever brought us pain early on, we will want to undo in our lives. And that's what we the patterns that we keep repeating over and over again. Those experiences over and over again. So really ask yourself, right? What are my patterns? What kind of people do I attract? What kind of people am I attracted to? Because one of the things I found is that, again, I was very used to unstable love. And so stable love felt even scarier, y'all. Like I remember Tori was, of course, one of the best. And Tori's my daughter's father, who I lost when I was 8 months pregnant. And he was stable. He was stable. He was healthier love than I've ever known. I mean, I used to get mad that this man wanted to do things for me. What? Yeah. I used to get mad that this man would want to like shovel the snow off of my car for me. Like, I got it. Why did I? Like, isn't that crazy? That he would like wanted to do something. I'm like, I could do it. All this stuff. Because I wasn't used to that. I was not used to that. And I also didn't want to create a dependency. One of the things I learned, and by the way, go to therapy. The therapist needs a therapist, okay? I'm in therapy to figure the stuff out myself, because you can't really, you can't see from the outside looking in, right? You can't see from the inside. You can't see from right? You can't really detect everything. And so as much as I know, as much as I help others, as much as I may preach, I need somebody alongside of me to be able to reflect and guide me through these things. So go to therapy. This Therapize me after all, right? Do it. So sharing what I've been learning, even with that, done a lot of work with that. But recently is that I always operated on a temporary basis. I didn't trust men because a lot of the experiences I had. I didn't trust that things would last because, again, the experiences I had, right, of me losing so much. And so I always based it on temporary. I always looked at a suitor or a relationship as, I'm going to have fun here for a little bit. I'm going to sit right here. I'm going to sit on it for a little bit. You know what I'm saying? That's how it was, right? It was like just temporary. Temporarily going to be doing this thing. And so it didn't matter. I didn't hold such a high standard because of that. I didn't hold a high standard because I always knew that I wasn't going to last with the person, right? But here's the other side. I crave that. I am a hopeless romantic and I am a serial monogamer. I craved just being with someone, okay? And so I'm going to cut this talk short because my guest actually showed up and I am going to invite them. But let me finish this. So while I was a hopeless romantic and craved having that, but only thought temporary, I would still fall in love. What a dumb, right? I would still be like all in it, all loyal for a while till the wheels fall off, until it was clear. Because it would be like, girl, you gotta let this go. Like, this ain't right. Until it was clear, then I would let it go. But that's how patterns show up. So check it out, right? I am going. All right, y'all. This is how you introduce yourself, because I call you one thing. There's my cousin. I call you one thing. He calls it another. So go ahead.
Let's see. How do I turn my camera on? There we go.
I know it's a learning curve. We're all learning together.
This is it. There we go.
All right, there you go.
There we go. Yes, I'm your cousin. You know me as Cesarito. I now go by Cesar normally. I used to go by Augusto. It was so much easier, but with the times and yes. But no, now I really introduce myself as Cesar mostly. I think it's just easier, but you can call me Augusto, you can call me Cesar, call me Cesarito. I'm gonna answer. So. All
right. Well, I'm whatever you want me to call you, but I'm gonna call you Sarito because that's what I call you. And it's going live, but that's okay. So I was just talking about love, in light of Valentine's Day, and I was talking about the patterns that we get into and how that our patterns are what we attract and what we allow, and that they're based on like what we learned early on about love. And so I was breaking a little bit of that down and talking about myself and my experiences and how do we work through that and heal. But jump in with anything you got to say from that on, or your thoughts with that, or anything else you want to bring up.
Pattern about love. Love is beautiful. You have to understand that everybody wants their heart full. Like there's no denying that sometimes you just crave it. As mad as you are sometimes, as mad at the world you are sometimes you've been turned off by somebody or done wrong by somebody, and then there's just one day you wake up where you're missing that love. You want that hug, you want that heat, you want that cariño.
What do you think is the hardest part about getting over someone, and what do you think about getting over someone?
I think the hardest part about getting over someone is that we're all creatures of habit, and what happens is instead of putting ourselves first, we fall back to what we know. So instead of putting yourself in front and allowing yourself to grow, right? Because that is what you're doing. You're like, no, I want to stay in my safe space. I understand this problem, so I'm going to deal with it even longer, right? Versus saying, hold on, this is not for me. And when do we get there? Is when we're past the point where we should have been, right? We're calling it quits. And I think it really comes down to just doing some self reflection, having a conversation, having a dialogue. And a lot of what I've been saying it lately is saying it out loud. You got to say things out loud. Because if you're having an internal monologue, you're going to drive yourself crazy.
Mhm, mhm.
So you got to say it out loud.
You got a really good point. Yes, we are creatures of habit, so we just you're right about that. Like what becomes very painful or very difficult about moving on is that we're used to it. So we're used to the routine of talking to that person daily. We're used to of being with them, of what we do. We get used to it, and that's an excellent point because when we really look at it, when we're going through a breakup, and I always help others and talk about that when they're going through that, is like it's not really the relationship, it's not really the person that you're missing, it's
You're not
the
holding on to that
relationship
anymore.
that you're missing.
Yeah.
Exactly, because you got to a point with that person that it was enough to break. So it's really not that you're missing. It's really the routine and that feeling and what was already there and that pattern. Absolutely. And so we got, when it comes into, like you say, we do have to wait till we get to a point because letting go is so hard for the same reason of what we're used to. And like you said, the devil you know rather than the devil that you don't, right? So you rather stay with the situation than actually go into a new one. And so you stay and you stay until you can't no more. Hasta que te harta. But I'm gonna tell you something about that. I think that because I don't, when we talk about regret, we shouldn't have regrets. We have to be in situations and experiences to the degree that we need to be in order to actually learn from it. It's my saying is like I never want to wonder what if. I never want to
Hmm.
wonder. I never want to go back and wonder what if. So I see something through until I'm sure and be like, yo, I'm sure. I gave it all I could. And we have to go through these experiences so we don't repeat them. Because if we didn't learn them, we're going to repeat them. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
No. 100%. And I think to build off that is just have an understanding of where you are in your relationship and what you're holding on to makes a huge difference because when you get to a point where you don't want to be there anymore, you become mad at the person, right? You fell in love with this person at one point. They're not your enemy. You just
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
you're upset about the situation and how things didn't work out. But you cared about that person. So instead of taking it to a point where you hated someone, you should start learning how to, okay, this is where I'm at. You know what? Be civil. You I've had past relationships where I still care about the person. I still love them. It's okay to be that. I love the person for who they are, who they were. We might have not been compatible, but that doesn't mean I gotta hate the person. Our situation didn't work out. We didn't line up. We all grow, and we grow together. We grow apart. There's ups and downs, and we're gonna learn how to maneuver between that. But I think the most important thing about falling in love and how to figure that out is you gotta trust your inside. What not the outside noise, it's the inside noise. Is what makes you happy. Everybody's gonna talk. Everybody's gonna say something. Doesn't matter if you've changed your look or you're doing a different job or this person's doing this or they seen them doing that. People are gonna talk, right? Listen to the person inside. If you're happy, that's what matters. That's all that really matters. And then as
Right.
soon as the inside person's not happy, learn how to have the conversation.
Right, exactly. Because again, it is all that matters. Sometimes you just have to go through it and see it through. And for as long as you feel that is okay for you, you need to go through it. Right? Absolutely, absolutely true. There was another point that you made that I wanted to stress on early on with what you were talking about. I don't know if you can remind me, but you were. Uh,
Which part? The one about learning ahead of time to when to stop versus hating the
no,
person and get.
about really about when we would break up, right? Like about that you still care for that person.
Yeah.
I say that all the time. Like there's no love lost. Why does it have to turn into something negative? That is more ego, right? But
Hmm.
if you cared for this person and you were all about this person and this person was all about you, all right, if they betrayed you, they did something, yes, you treat it as such. That's why you're not with them, right? Because I talk about the shelving system. Know exactly where to place people.
Yep.
Everybody, you have to know I could rely on you for this, but I can't rely on you for that.
Hmm.
I could rely for this and not that. But you know how to place people, so you know how to trust people. Listen, everybody's gonna let you down, and you're gonna let other people down too. But you got to learn where to place people, and so you learn to place them outside of that relationship when you break up. But there is no love lost. How about all the care and all the tenderness and all the stuff and everything else? Where does it go? Right?
Yeah.
And so it brings me to the point about being friends with exes, right? Like some people are not about it, some people are about it, right? And so if no love is lost, I feel like you should be able to be friends with exes with whatever boundaries you need to put. But what do you think about being friends with exes?
I mean, being a friend with ex
As a
isn't.
man, too, like if a
It's not.
girl has like friends with exes, what do you think?
I mean, it's not necessarily like out of this world. I don't see it as a huge red flag. There's, it's just that one thing isn't necessarily that defines it, right? It's the entire situation. I mean, you're a friend with your ex, and I just met you. I might, you know, put a red flag on it. If we've been together for 6 years and you say hello to someone because you had a past, why do I care? You're with me now. I'm supposed to trust you with whatever you're doing. Is there times I might get jealous? Is there times that my emotions might flare up? Yeah, but that's when your job is to remind me of who you are and why you're with me. Like we both have to remind each other what's going on in the relationship, because no one's gonna. It is a give and go, right? There's always someone always dominating the relationship. It's not one person the whole time. And sometimes people think it's, oh no, that this person runs the relationship, or this person. No, it doesn't run like that. Because between four walls, it's a give and go. There's no way that only one person could manage it, because they also got other stuff going on in their life. And the one, a lot of times in my experience, why I think when I see my friends and others that relationship fails when it comes to a guy is because they're actually not being reminded of what you know, of why the woman's there, why they care or appreciate it or whatever.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's like you're tired, you know.
Okay, this is we're getting into interesting waters right here, right? Because this is what we talk about. Because I think a little bit of what you're saying to like bring it out, highlight it a little bit more, is to say that from a man's perspective, often when you lose that spark is because you feel like the partner isn't really maintaining that spark. Am I getting that correctly?
Well, not necessarily maintaining. It's just like if you've had a long day, had a long week, have a lot going on at work, right? And you're mentally, emotionally exhausted, and you expecting something at that day, right? Instead of noticing that person just can't give it to you, you should be like, okay, you know what? It's my turn to take the wheel, right? Oh, what do you need? Listen, I'm with you because everything you do, just remind the person sometimes of why you're with them. There's nothing wrong with that.
Just always have that, always give that, like, always keep that sort of like nurturing energy at all times and paying attention. And you're right, and when we are, especially longer term relationships, we like in the hustle and bustle, the day to day, right? Like you forget all that. Back to that idea of routine, right? Like what we get used to, and we got to remember, and so really good point is about keeping things, spicy, keeping things current with your partner. Like you got to make sure that you put in that work, and that's what it means when we say put in that work, that is work. So like keeping that sort of spark alive, and part of that spark doesn't have to be like outings and stuff like that, which is what you're saying. Part of that spark is in the day to day, just noticing how they're feeling, noticing the support that they need, right? Paying attention, right? Because at first, when you're like falling in love, like you're all about it. You're paying attention to everything. You're like in it. You're like with the message, with the this, with the that, with the like, you okay, with the rose, with the that, right? With the kisses, like all of that stuff. And so basically to maintain that, definitely both need to maintain that and keep the spark going, and making sure that you have that you always make time for that connection, for that bonding of each other. And in the day to day, it's just, for as tired as we are, not losing the small things, right?
Well,
Like the small
I want
details.
I want to say something right on that, which is I think a lot of people get wrong, right? Let's say we're in a relationship and you feel like you're not getting enough affection, right? Don't get mad first, because that's what happens. Oh, you're not giving me affection. Oh, I feel treated this way. The person might be going through stuff. Sit them down. Hey, let's do this. have the conversation first, because that's where things start to fall apart, because I'm stressed out over here, you're stressed out because I can't give you what you want, but I don't even know what you want, first of all.
Right.
And that's why things fail. It's the communication part, right? Instead of being, you don't give me what I need, it's like, hey, I see you've been working, you've been kind of busy, you've been a little distracted. What can I do to help you? I also feel like, I want more time with you. So obviously you're busy. How can we do this together? And then, create the moment that you need versus jump into a conclusion that I'm too busy for you. Because that's
Right.
not what it is. The world is busy, right? There's a lot of things going on. So
Yeah.
that's huge.
Yes, and that's a good point with patterns again, because it's like women and men learn how to communicate in different ways. So it goes back to always like you gotta really assess what ways do you comply with, like what ways are your ways of communicating, what ways are you of how you interpret things, right? Because it is those things that we are embodying without noticing. And so they talk about like a lot of patterns for women to do that, right? To like women, like they're sitting there and everything's okay, and all of a sudden they come up with something, right? Or like they're not really talking and until they blow up and they talk about it, right? And so that's like a pattern. Like women, from my perspective, where I can see where that comes from, is like we're taught to like wait really for things to be given, right? And so expect things to be given. Like asking is not so much always what's encouraged or promoted, or like you don't really think that you can say, hey, give me affection, or whatever the
Hmm.
is, right? Or like ask for it because you're supposed to receive it, right? Like you're supposed to
Hmm.
receive that attention. And so, but those are the things that you're saying that really do interfere, especially once you're with a person, it's about you and them. It's about the world you create. Right? Like,
Hmm.
yes, we're coming with all this stuff from everything that we learned in our past, but the opportunity that we get with relationships is that we get to create the rules. Me and that person get to create the rules. Forget about what society says, one thing or the other. We get to create the rule. Like that's something that's interesting. Like if you see with polygamy, if you see with like open marriages, open relationships, like
Hmm.
if you see with like that is an example of like we get to create the rules, but it's something that you said you have to know your inner self. You have to know what's okay. Like you can't go along with, yeah, I'm okay with dating other people or you seeing other people when you're not, right? Because
Hmm.
then it's gonna create resentment. So you have to know yourself and what works for you. And
Hmm.
that with your partner, you get to create it. But it does require that communication, right? And not always is everybody gonna be on point. So I hear you, it's like equally both have to keep it up, keep the things going. And
Yeah.
when somebody drops the ball, the other should just pick it up without feeling like, oh, I gotta pick it up and that's a bad thing, right? But
Yeah.
I actually see it as like that's what it's supposed to be.
It's okay to be a product of your upbringing, and your upbringing is not just your parents and your cousins and your family, right? It's your upbringing is still like your friends that you grew up with, who you went to high school with, like all those things have a little bit of influence in you, right? They're influences. It's not who you are, right?
Right.
I've been around plenty of people, but I've turned out the person I am because this is who I want to be. You know who you want to be, and let that person shine, right?
Right.
And then when it comes to your relationship, the person fell in love with you for, or wanted to be with you for who you are, who who that person was when they met them. So go ahead and be that person. Don't forget it. And if you need a reminder, set yourself a reminder or tell your partner to remind you. I think there's a big, um, I mean, I don't know what it's called, but there's, and it doesn't matter what type of relationship or partner you are, but I call it brother sister. It's brother brother, sister sister. Once you're in a relationship for so long, you forget that that's the person you love. Protect that person, not the people from the outside world, right? So you start to say smart remarks or quick jabs and think like it doesn't hurt. Yes, it fucking does. Yes, it does. You don't think it's not lingering in the back of someone's mind? Yes, it does. And it goes both ways. Sometimes you say things that you regret, and it's okay to be like, you know what? Once you acknowledge it, like, hey, you know what? I didn't mean it like that. I was just being a smart ass. Like, it's okay to say that, and it's okay for you to be like, I need time to just get over it.
Right.
The biggest thing that people do is they react in emotion, which I get. A lot of people are emotional, right? Take a second to pause, to think, reflect. If you need the space, be like, I'm not ready to have this conversation right now. And the other person should respect that. And as soon as you're ready to have the conversation, have it, and you'll see how much everything changes. Because now you're not speaking just on emotion. You're speaking on a full perspective of how you feel and how things were interpreted, and how you can see, oh yeah, he is that way, he probably didn't mean it that way, so I probably took a little offense to it because I was on edge, and that's it. And then you everybody gets over it, right? You move past it. But the biggest thing that I would say is definitely when you have a disagreement or need to talk or need some space, you got to say it, and it comes back to just communication. Say it out
Right.
loud, not in your head, out loud.
Right.
And
Absolutely. And that brings up growing with love, right? Like, especially when you're with someone for a long time, you're going to grow.
uh
So, like when you were talking about, like, remind them of the person that they were, right? And we go through grow and we transition. And I think that that's going to happen. And that's often what we find, even like when people grow apart or whatever the case is, right? But it's really like, essentially is about what you're talking about. It's about the care and the attentiveness that needs to happen in the moment and throughout another regular daily basis. Because when you're growing, even right, when you're finding that you like new things or that it's different, it's about doing that with your partner. And that partner, right, when we talk about what love is you just loving the person and wanting the best for them. And
hmm
so they're growing, even if it's not the version that you met originally, and you're not the
hmm
version that they met originally. It's about still seeing them through that, right? Seeing them
hmm
through that new version and why they're choosing to change, why they're choosing to grow, and being able to support that, right? Because at the end of the day, that's love. That's sharing yourself with someone, right? And that's the other point that I think is valid here, is that it's all about caring for the person, right? You grow, but everything underneath it all is like, what is love? Is caring for this person, but you have to know yourself too. It is
hmm
important that it takes two, right? But each individual you have to be in charge and in control of yourself. That is not the responsibility of your partner. You are your responsibility. You have to know what you're feeling. You have to know how you operate. You have to know what you need and articulate what you need, right? And not have it be a guessing game. I can't guess what you're going through. I can't
Mm-mm.
guess how you feel. I can't guess how something, made you responded to something. Don't leave that to me guessing and me having to pay attention enough. No, that's not fair. You have to be responsible for yourself, taking care of yourself and what you need, and then you share that with your partner and your partner to support it. Because again, love is that support, right? It's like cheerleading you on through your life and doing that together. You change something, maybe we're always used to this habit and now you don't do it anymore. Like maybe we're used to eating bad and now all of a sudden you're eating clean. Okay, now I can decide, do I want to do that or I do my version of it, but I'm going to support you in your decision by
hmm
doing the things that I need to, right? And so always making sure that we are touching in with ourselves, always making sure that we tap in as to what is important, what's going on with us before we put it on our partner, right? And that it is a central thing about
hmm
let's with communication we grow together. And at the end of the day, it's about, are you gonna ride with me? Are you gonna support me for what I want, right? Even if it sounds crazy in the moment, help me through it. Help me
Yeah,
through. Help me pick up. You think I'm gonna fail? Okay, just help me pick up the pieces when I do. That's it.
that's it. Yeah.
That's it.
A, a lot of times, especially in relationships, your partner will tell you their crazy idea, right? Your job isn't to say that's not going to work. Your job is to say, okay, so how do we make this work? What do you need, right? Like how? Let's break this down, right? A lot of times we're thinking from a different perspective on the world is so tough. Like you can't do this, or you shouldn't do that, or how you're gonna get. No, the question is what do we do to get that idea happening?
Right.
What's the first step, right? And you took the first step in getting to the relationship. You knew how to do that.
Right.
The crazy idea isn't that far off either, right? I got with you somehow, right?
Right.
That was a crazy idea,
Right. Right. Right.
and now we're together. So my crazy idea is just another crazy idea. And now that I'm with you, let's embark in this this new venture together. And sometimes it's just understanding that. I think it's tough for some people to grow to change, to adapt, to get out of their comfort zone, to even leave their own city, you know, like to get out of that bubble. Um, and sometimes you just got to do it. Like I recommend everybody to just go out for yourself by yourself one day. Go on a solo date.
Yeah,
What do
definitely.
you do? Like figure out what you do. What is it that you would do?
You like, yeah.
Yeah, what is it that you do? Like, I mean, for myself, I'll go get a haircut. No problem. I probably hit the car wash because I like my car. Clean out my car. Like that's a solo date. You don't got to go out. Maybe have lunch and a drink because that's what I like to do. Right? You don't got to go nuts, but go take yourself on a date.
Right.
Then, as soon as you know that, then you can start talking to your partner about what you like and what you don't like.
Right,
It's a
you gotta know
crazy idea.
yourself first. You gotta know
Yeah.
yourself first. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for coming on here. Hope to have you lots more times whenever you can. This is it. This is, Therapize Me, the psychology and energetics of life. And today was about love. And that's really, we really got to understand ourselves in order to give ourselves. And love is a choice. Love is a choice that we have to make on a daily basis. It's really supporting that partner at the end of the day, is being able to support your partner and through all of it, right? The good and the bad, especially as we grow and we talk about long-term relationships, that means everything. Love you too, cuz it's
I
out right
I,
there.
I want to say one
Yeah.
more thing before we end this. I was like, I do want to say that there's a lot of people that sometimes don't feel like they deserve the love, and they need to allow it first. People say, oh, you gotta love yourself first. I get that, but you have to allow love to come into your world. Like you have to allow it to be around you. You have to allow the positivity. The whole world isn't against you.
Yeah.
So allow positivity, the light, the sun, the joy, the smiles,
Right.
the hugs, the kisses. Let that be in your life.
Absolutely. You got to know how to receive, right? You have to know how to receive. Absolutely. And it's scary to receive because we could easily go through and it's almost like we're pretending or playing a role. It's like playing house. It's like we're playing house, right? We know what relationships should be, so we're just playing a role.
Hmm.
But to actual receive, we started out here, it takes vulnerability. It really does. And so who you trust does matter, right? Obviously. And you do have to be discerning about that. But at the end of the day, whoever you decide, you have to feel that you can receive and allow yourself to be vulnerable, right? And vice versa. Well, thank you again. And all right, guys. Well, you already know the replay will be on YouTube. Catch me live every Sunday. And I just hope and wish love for everyone. That is the mission. But yes, it does start with yourself. If you don't love yourself, you're not all of those patterns that we're talking about. Loving yourselves means having real conversations with yourself, having real conversations with yourself of who you are, understanding your patterns, what make it, and whatever you want to change, whatever you're not happy with, change it. That's it, right? And life is, enjoy it either way. Life is a journey. You have a little good thing going, a little, whatever you okay being in a situationship, be in a situationship until you're not okay with it. And that's it. Until you're not okay with it. But at the end of the day, pay attention to being true to yourself and what actually works and what doesn't. Don't be in a situationship when you're expecting a relationship. You're hurting yourself in that way. So be real with yourself is at the end of the game. At the end of the day is be real with yourself. Allow yourself to receive, right? Like Gus is saying, and really just know that you do deserve it all, but you have to look inside and look at your pattern so you're able to receive it. I love you guys. I love you, Phoenixes. You already know. Catch you next week. And the replay on YouTube. Pass it along. Pass it along. Love you. Thank you, guys.